going between Scarborough and Luing Islands. Should hopefully pick up the current flowing out instead of across any minute now. Tide should push us through here pretty damn quickly, to be honest. At Scarborough Island. And that's Luing Island. Didn't do this route on the way through last year. Actually went round the back of Luing Island and through a much narrower channel with incredibly strong currents. It was good fun. Sketchy as hell, but good fun. So we have to weave our way through all of these shallows and rocks, and the current is, well, pretty insane. I've put the engine on as well just to try and help keep course. I'll be back on the helm in a second when I finish recording this. These are the rocks that we've got to avoid. Not a wide gap. I mean, it's not insanely narrow, but not very wide either. All the more scary when you're doing 11 knots. What fun! What fun! And there's Mull, and dead ahead the entrance to Loch Spelve, which is where I shall be spending the night. It's a bit of a narrow entrance. Well, the channel's quite narrow, and the anchorage is not great holding, so I'm glad that the wind's dying down and it's going to stay down for the night, hopefully. If not, I'd be seriously considering stealing one of the mooring balls like I did last time. I'm a pirate, me. But the sun's come out over Loch Spelve just for me. It's kind of come out over there as well. That's where we came from. In the schnizzle. Right, I better concentrate on getting the entrance right. Anchored up, and I've got a seal for a neighbour sitting on the rocks there. It's a moody morning here on the loch, and as you can see, the wind has shifted round to the south, which is Not ideal, there's a lot of fetch there, so this anchorage is untenable. The wind's light at the moment, it's not forecast to be strong today, but who knows in Scotland. So I'm going to be away shortly. It's high tide at 9:30, so I'm going to get my foul weather gear on because it looks like some rain today, and get going. I don't know how far I'll go today, possibly just round to Jura Bay, which is not very far. From there, I think tomorrow it will be up the Sound of Mull, and who knows where from there. I haven't planned that far ahead. Feels a little bit warmer today, might actually be in double figures the temperature, which is nice. Only just in double figures. I'm going to need a few layers. Anyway, time to get ready and get going. The guys are out lifting the oysters this morning. It looks a bit dark and moody out there. There's not much current this morning. Timed this pretty much perfectly, so I can actually use the auto helm to come through here, which is nice. Yesterday was just too much current. I had to helm myself. It was a tiny bit sketchy. I think we're about 2.5 knots of current flowing with me as I was coming in, but I wasn't going to hang around outside and wait for it to drop. I just need to adjust my course to avoid that big rock. And as we pass the rock, we head directly to shore, because the channel actually runs right along the shoreline. I'm actually right on the right hand edge of the channel here, believe it or not. If I were to stick to the middle of the channel, we'd be right up by those rocks. So reality is this channel is only just over a boat length wide, so I'm glad there's no one coming the other way. And there we go, engine off, sailing downwind. Well, the wind has dropped to 4 knots and we're going backwards in the current. Typical. I'm not going to put the motor on. I'm going to sit here and gently go nowhere for a while. The wind will probably pick up again shortly and I'll start making my way again, but not worth worrying about right now. I can see there's wind out there. I also see there's a lot of current out there. Well, I've been forced to put the engine on. Simply wasn't enough wind to punch through the current at the entrance to the Sound. Over there you can see Castle Jura. Now Castle Jura has a little story behind it. Apparently the lord of the castle was having a little bit of a fling and he needed to get rid of his wife. So he left her out on that rock over there for the tide to come in and drown her. But unfortunately for him, it didn't work. She was rescued. I would highly recommend go and look up the story. It's a great story, it really is. Anyway, there's Castle Jura, and this is the mouth to the Sound of Mull. Don't know if you can see that, but we're in the Sound of Mull. It's 2:30 and we are tacking our way into 16 knots of wind, trying to go that way. How gorgeous is this anchorage? I wasn't coming here originally. Decided to go a little bit further and find an anchorage on the northern shore. Since I wasn't getting very far tacking up and down, called it a day, about 3 o'clock, 3:30. Decided I'd sit in the sun and drink some whiskey instead. So that's what I'm doing. And here comes Ian on SV Gabrielle and family. We might have a drink tonight. I just bumped into some divers and look what they've given me. Scallops. I'll be eating well tonight. In the background there, flying up the Sound, is the super yacht Pi, which is owned by the former CEO of Starbucks, Howard something or other. That's quite an impressive boat. It's going at quite an impressive speed considering it's going against the tide and against the wind. And here's the wake from the super yacht Pi. Thanks very much, mate. And here comes Ian. Ian is one of my subscribers. Hi, Ian.
Good, nice to meet you.
Absolutely fantastic to meet Ian and his family and their beautiful boat. Had a lovely time drinking with them in the evening. I really enjoyed that. It was nice to get to interact with people, and hopefully I will see them again at some point. Their plans are very similar to mine, so I'm sure we will cross paths again. In the meantime, it's time to get going. The wind is going to shift round to the southwest this afternoon, so this anchorage is not going to be ideal anymore, no matter how beautiful it is. So I'm going to move up to Tobermory. It's a few hours motoring into wind, but shouldn't take too long, hopefully. And once I'm in there on anchor, I should be protected from the wind, whether it's from the northwest or the southwest. Time to get going. And there's Tobermory with a cruise ship. The super yacht Pi left just as I was coming up as well. So that's where it had been last night. And the famous town of Tobermory. I mean, Tobermory. And here we are, on anchor in Tobermory, in 25 metres of water, with cruise ship company. And there goes the steamship Waverly. What a lovely sight. Steaming backwards at speed. And we're away. It's a very cold morning, single digits temperature wise. Hopefully it'll be about 11 degrees C later on. Light winds, fingers crossed. Making our way to the small isles this morning. Not sure which small isle at the moment. I'll see how far I can get. Well, now we're clear of the sound. We've got plenty of wind. Yeah. Of course it's from the wrong direction, but you can't have everything. At least there's wind. At least we're sailing. That's the main thing. Going to keep my eyes open for wildlife. We're not far away from where I saw whales last year. Minke Whales all round the boat. Absolutely amazing. It's just a shame that the camera malfunctioned. Or was it my fingers? No, the files were corrupted on my old camera, unfortunately. It decided that was the time to pack in. Well, today is May 28th, which is the anniversary of me casting off the lines back in Southampton a year ago today. I'm a little bit further north this year. That was quite a challenge. I'd never sailed solo properly. I'd pottered about in Southampton water, messing around on light wind days, but that was quite nerve-wracking. Luckily a friend of mine, Sue, came along for the first weekend and that made it a lot easier. I didn't have the whole emotional thing of throwing the lines off solo from my, what was then, home berth in Southampton Town Quay. She came with me to Weymouth, and then from Weymouth, that's the point where I set off solo properly. Happy days. I remember going round the point and being surrounded by dolphins for my first solo sail. That was just awesome. Could do with some dolphins now. Not seen many. It's really strange. All the way around last year, pretty much every sail I did, there'd be at least one pod of dolphins, sometimes up to 4 or 5. So maybe the water's just too cold at the moment, I don't know. I keep my eyes peeled. Keep my eyes peeled for minke whales as well, and lobster pots. You think I would have learnt my lesson with the lobster pots by now? Unfortunately, I'd just gone down to take a whiz, came back up and picked up the camera and was right on top of it. Typical. Still, we're making good speed and we're surrounded by yachts. And the sun's come out. That wasn't forecast for today. I'm gonna have to start taking layers off. My God. What else has not been forecast for today? Well, the wind and current have decided that I'm going to Eigg. I tried to tack to head further out, but the current is so strong at the moment, so I just ended up going back in the direction I came, which is really not the intention. So I've given up on that tack, and I'm just sticking to the one that's going to take me to Eigg now. That's the way it's supposed to work though, isn't it? If I'd had common sense, I would have carried on with my westward bound tack earlier in the day when the tide wasn't as strong. And then I would have been further out. But common sense left me. I didn't consider the currents would be quite so strong here. I seem to remember looking on the charts and I thought there was next to nothing out here, but that is definitely not the case. It springs as well, which does make a difference, of course. So, lack of forethought leads to change of plans. So that's the island of Muck. There's tall peaks there. Is the island of Rum. And this is where we're going, Eigg. Or at least that's where the wind is taking us. Although strangely the wind has decided to pick up now. Now that decision's been made. Typical. Very much like the Scottish wind that I remember. Here and gone, here and gone. I'm currently having a race with Bessie Ellen. Can't imagine I could win it. She looks amazing with all the sails up there. And that's Eigg. And the sun's gone away. Oh well. Anchorage we're going for is just here the south anchorage. And see there's a couple of boats in the north anchorage, and looks like one in the south anchorage, so should be plenty of room. That's quite an impressive piece of rock. Minke Whales. Oh wow. And the sail's flapping around loose because I was just about to bring it down. I better stop that boom waggling. Oh. I love Scotland. How awesome is that? Every time I have seen Wales, you just get a fleeting glimpse, and then they're gone. But that was right next to the boat. Awesome. Check out my company on anchor here at Eigg. How cool is that? It's a tight little anchorage, this. Especially with these guys in here. It's me on one of the boat. There's a little pool in the centre. Have slightly deeper water. Everywhere else is shallow.